The notorious Conor McGregor is the most famous UFC fighter to ever enter the octagon. He was the first simultaneous double champ in company history. His pay-per-view numbers blow every other fighter out of the water. He was named the world's highest paid athlete by Forbes. So why is he competing Saturday night at UFC 264 in Las Vegas? Revenge. McGregor's rivalry with Dustin Poirier goes all the way back to September of 2014 when they first faced off. Back then, the Notorious was on a rocket ship towards superstardom and knocked out the Diamond in round one just as predicted. But if you followed Poirier's career, it's all about one thing: persistence. His never quit attitude and stop at nothing drive to be the best in arguably the most ruthless division in the UFC has defined his career. And when he finally got his rematch with McGregor more than 6 years later, he was ready.
Tonight is one of the best I've ever felt, honestly. I was emotionless, I was an assassin, and I was here to execute.
I'll regroup and pick myself up, get up off the floor and go again, and that's it.
Now McGregor and Poirier will settle the score in one of the most anticipated trilogies in combat sports history.
Conor, in the build to the last fight, you were unusually kind to Dustin. Now on fight week, it's the exact opposite. So when did that switch happen?
Because he got knocked the out. Not McGregor fast, McGregor sleep.
I'm going to go through his head, put holes in them and take it off his shoulders. That's the goal here. So it's on now. Saturday night you can walk around that octagon like a dog and put to sleep.
Let's go. Here was the scene on Friday night with McGregor and Poirier stepping on the scale for the ceremonial weigh-in. Both fighters coming in on weight at 156 pounds, but the weight of the moment far more pressing. A trilogy fight with one fighter likely to head for a title shot, and the other, well, it could be roll credits. Joining us now to set the stage from outside of T-Mobile Arena, your favorite podcasters, co-hosts of the Morning Kombat, Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell. Gentlemen, the day has finally arrived. You've been setting the stage all week long for us in anticipation for today. With Fight Night finally here, Luke, is there a growing sense of the moment around the Strip over the last 24 hours?
No doubt about it. I mean, I think it's built on what has been existing there for all this time, which is, I think, some of the things we described yesterday, the uncertainty even among the McGregor faithful. At the same time, though, as we were setting up here, we had people drive by honking, telling us, McGregor, it's a lock. Like, you could definitely tell that part of it has been driven by this. Fear might be a strong word, but this, sense of impending doom by some. But at the same time, there's this giant collective will wishing McGregor to create the old moments that were there. You can feel it. You can see it. Most of the fans we've talked to here are all here just for McGregor. But there's no doubt that I think even the casual fan seems to understand if you fight a guy 3 times and you lose 2 of them, that matters a lot for your career. You add on the nuances that BC and I have been talking about all week about what it means for the division and everyone else. Yeah, people have gotten the sense here for sure, and you can tell they know tonight a lot hangs in the balance.
Yeah, it's funny that Poirier's coming off a win over McGregor. All we're talking about is Conor McGregor and the build to this fight, but it makes sense. I mean, he's not only the biggest pay-per-view star in the sport's history, but there's a romanticism and almost a cult following to McGregor, where so many fighters we talk to and ask for a prediction, they predict McGregor, some of them with the asterisk of it's just better for the sport for him to win. There's fans that are fans of just McGregor, not of MMA, that are hoping to find out the answer to the question, are we going to get the McGregor of old on Saturday, or are we just going to get an older McGregor, a guy who's still dangerous, still has an early puncher's chance, but maybe fighting an uphill battle against a more complete fighter? We'll find out on Saturday, but McGregor, not a surprise, has dominated the headlines and the talk heading into this one.
No doubt. As you guys have outlined, the implications of this trilogy fight are far-reaching. 2 men on the wrong side of 30, business ventures far beyond the octagon walls. The cooler heads in January's rematch bout have given way to now death threats and posturing this time around. BC, only 6 months removed from their last meeting. How do you expect game plans to differ from what we saw in January?
I expect to see a much more dangerous, focused, ready Conor McGregor. Did he give excuses for the way he lost 6 months ago, hit the first TKO defeat of his career? Yes, but Conor McGregor, going to give him credit, though, he tends to be very good at picking out what he did wrong, meaning moments after losing a fight, he can tell you exactly what he needs to do to change. I think we all realize whether it was a lack of focus or too much focus on boxing heading into that second fight with Poirier. I think we're going to see a more complete, a more ready McGregor who has more chances to win, not just to walk you down with that left hand, but he's got to come out there and bring a variety of threats to the game with his kicking game. He's got to be just loose and dangerous. That's the one thing he wasn't in that second fight. Yes, he hurt Poirier. Yes, he had some moments. There wasn't that unpredictability and that danger. Let's give McGregor credit. When he lost to Nate Diaz in 2016, he came back retooled, ready for 5 rounds of war. I think we're going to see that same McGregor in spirit on Saturday. But obviously the real question remains the same, Luke. Is he the same McGregor? Can he go 5 hard rounds against Dustin Poirier should he need to? We can only find that out inside the cage.
Yeah, we're going to see. I think that one of the things you're going to see here this time is urgency, getting right to it. I mean, think about something. A lot of times you'll see fighters be like, well, I'll just fight this guy on the terms that they're setting because I'm good enough that no matter where they take it, I can beat them there and they'll wear themselves out. That's actually not the worst game plan, depending on the style matchup and depending who's fighting. But a lot of times it's a really bad idea. You should be reacting to what I'm making you doing. I shouldn't be reacting to what you're making me do. And you saw in the second fight, Dustin Poirier, it was back and forth, but there was a lot of times where he was just defining the complexion of the fight. He was setting the terms and Conor was trying to meet him halfway. And again, at times, Conor did have some success, but overall to get your hand raised, and that's of course the only thing that matters tonight, he's got to set the terms a little bit. He's got to get Dustin reacting to what he's doing, especially early, because as we know later, that's probably going to be where Dustin picks it up.
A win on Saturday night would mark McGregor's first at 155 or at the lightweight division since he beat Alvarez, taking that second belt and becoming the champ, apologizing to no one. So we'll see what tonight has in store. But we got to put a pick to it, guys. Conor McGregor, the short underdog this time around. There's likely to be some sharp money coming in on that plus number as we approach the main card. Luke, lead us off. How do you see Poirier-McGregor 3 playing out?
This is a tough one. Conor McGregor is really a bit of a mystery. I said this yesterday. His haters think he's incapable of anything good, and his critics will tell you he's the worst fighter ever. So he's somewhere in the middle, but that is, boy, quite the middle ground in between. And so I think with humility, I would say I lean on history here, where the person who won the second fight in the trilogy has gone 9-3 ultimately, and how the trilogy has played out in MMA. I think also that Dustin Poirier, having been consistently training all this time, never taking time off except for short moments when he had to get some kind of injury rehabilitation, I really think the accumulated weight of that, you can't make up for that cramming for the test. So Conor McGregor absolutely can buzz anyone in this weight class and defeat them early, and Dustin Poirier is no exception to that rule. But I think skills win fights, and I have to say it, overall, I think the better overall MMA fighter at this point is Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, look, you want to go plus money on McGregor, you want to bet an early finish, there's some value in there for sure. I think we'll see a better McGregor than the second fight. I think this will be by far the best fight of the trilogy in terms of back and forth action. But the problem is, as those rounds accumulate in that back and forth action, it all tilts toward Dustin Poirier. More well-rounded, more ways to win, more battle-tested from the standpoint of being in an absolute war and being the last guy standing. I like Poirier. I think he'll finish him. Give me a 4th-round submission for Dustin Poirier. I do not see this going the distance, but I do see Conor McGregor pouring out whatever is left inside of him. He'll be game, he'll be dangerous, he'll be finished on Saturday night.
Let's see how it all plays out tonight at the center of that arena right behind our guys. But we do have some notable bouts earlier in the night as well, including co-main between welterweight contenders Gilbert Burns and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Burns fresh off a title, title bout that is, against Kamaru Usman, the loss in that fight. Thompson, he's always one spinning back kick away from a knockout of the night bonus. Luke, what's between these two fighters tonight?
I got to tell you, all the betting on this card is pretty tough. You look up and down the matchups, it's a lot of minus and plus 100 next to people's names, and this bout is certainly no exception. In Gilbert Burns, the bad side is he's coming off of a bad loss, I would say, both in getting finished and also the significance of what it meant to his career. Okay, that's bad. On the good side, he's got a great team behind him in Henry Hooft. He's a phenomenal black belt, a legit black belt world champion, not some kind of fake title. He's got the real deal Holyfield there in his back pocket. Plus, with his coach Henry Hooft, he's got just a great striking base and the kind of striking with the intense Thai focus of leg kicking, of stopping motion, of really getting in front of somebody. Those are characteristics you think that would really matter against Wonderboy Thompson. And I think that they probably will, at least on some level. Still, I'm going to side a little bit here with Wonderboy. I tend to think his lateral movement is something that Gilbert's going to have a hard time with. It's the bigger cage, not the smaller cage. Folks don't realize how much that matters, especially for a guy who relies on movement and speed and reflexes like Wonderboy. It's true he's getting older. I don't think he's the force he once was, but I just think his game is so tricky. I'm going to have to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
Hey, let's not forget Gilbert Burns in that largely one-sided loss to Kamaru Usman, in which he was finished for the title. He also dropped Usman early with a big punch. He proved his danger there. I think Gilbert Burns, we can't fall victim to having just seen him lost and thinking we know where his ceiling is. I think this is another opportunity for him to get right back into the title picture, and I like the 3-round co-main event here. Thompson does better work over time. He's going to be dangerous and hard to catch up to, but I think Gilbert Burns can close that distance, can have the urgency, and can finish Stephen Thompson in a very big fight, which will send both guys in either directions and really leave the winner not next for a title shot, but right there behind that.
A few fights earlier where we get to see another fan favorite in Sean O'Malley, who comes into this matchup with Kris Moutinho as a prohibitive favorite. Moutinho making his UFC debut tonight at 264. The Sugar Show was originally scheduled to fight Louis Smolka, who had to withdraw due to a staph infection. BC, how does that change affect the way you view tonight?
This makes this more of a showcase opportunity for Sean O'Malley. Let's give Kris Moutinho the puncher's chance, making his UFC debut. He said all the right things coming in. He guarantees this will be a fight of the night. He's got the wild neon green hair to try to match Sean O'Malley's eccentricity, if I could pull into my dictionary a bit here. But look, this is a showcase for a rising, budding star who's still recovering from what the loss to Marlon Vera did when he had the injury, did to his overall aura. But it seems like the snap is back in terms of the swag that he carries. I expect O'Malley to win and win big. Not a lot of value there, but this is a future star who's still getting better.
Yeah, I just add O'Malley, he was getting a huge pop on the main card, maybe right behind Conor in terms of popularity. Not on the same level, but if you had to rank them, he'd be right behind. Certainly a lot more than Dustin Poirier got. This is a bit of a showcase fight, as BC has said, not by any fault of UFC's or, frankly, Sean O'Malley. It's just the way the cookies crumbled. In this particular case, though, I would say he may be in a bit of a no-win position. I think if he delivers like a spectacular knockout, no one will say anything. But if he wins in anything other than that fashion, it's not like Moutinho is some kind of scrub, but given the circumstances and given the expectations, he has almost no room for error here. He probably won't even need it, but pay attention to post-fight narratives. This one goes a little bit longer than expected.
All right, you guys have come at this card from every single angle throughout the week. No one doing it like our guys from the Morning Combat, but I ask you, the mouths of mixed martial arts. If you had to hold one ticket tonight, Luke Thomas, what's your best bet at UFC 264?
Like I said, man, this card, UFC did I'll give them credit where credit is due. They put together a lot of very, very close matchups. The biggest mismatch, so to speak, is one we just talked about with Moutinho and O'Malley. But other than that, they're all pretty competitive. I'm going to say I do think, though, that Jennifer Maia taking on Jessica Ai is probably worth taking a look at. Maia overall should be the much better fighter. Now, she's got some questions to answer after her fight against Valentina Shevchenko did not go her way. Okay, fair enough. But she had a much better outing relative to Jessica Ai did against the same opponent. Don't want to play MMA math, but overall, Jennifer Maia, great Muay Thai, phenomenal ground game, very experienced, a lot of ways to win. Jessica Ai very good at this weight class, especially relative to what she was doing previously, but I think Maia's going to get her hand raised and make it look easy, I don't know, but authoritative, yes.
Wow, let's double down. Let's double down on the same lock right there. These are two ships going in opposite directions. Jessica Ai has lost 3 of 4, yes, to elite fighters within that 125-pound division. But I think Jennifer Maia found something when she lost to the champion Valentina Shevchenko. Found that she's tougher, more dynamic, maybe better than she even thought, than we even thought. Look for Jennifer Maia to get right back into title contention with a big win here.
That is Brian Campbell, Luke Thomas. They've been in Vegas all week for us. And as far as I know, both have yet to be detained, which in and of itself, it's a victory. Thank you, gentlemen. Please make me a promise. No more shoesies. Just for the sake of all of us, no more shoesies.
No promises.
Thank you, guys. Let's take a look at those picks from BC and Luke. UFC 264. It's a Conor night. But both of our gentlemen going with the favorite, Dustin Poirier, for a myriad of reasons. They think the math is on his side, history is on his side, and maybe a more complete game, no layoff between fights. McGregor having to tend to some of those other responsibilities, but so on and so forth. The card goes. Gilbert Burns, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. They are split In that co-main event, BC likes Burns. Luke is taking Wonder Boy. As for Sean O'Malley, more of a coronation than a conflict. Both of our guys going with the prohibitive favorite in O'Malley. And there is only one way to wrap it all up. Be sure to join our guys on the Morning Kombat every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And tonight, a super pod following UFC 264. You won't want to miss. Download and subscribe to Morning Kombat.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.